We can wait. If the Ukrainian leadership believes that now is not the time and that it is necessary to wait, then fine, we are ready to wait. This is the first point. The second point is that our political regime is based on the Constitution of the Russian Federation, and power is formed strictly in accordance with the main law of the state. What can I say about Ukraine? I do not want to go into details now, but today's Ukrainian government is not based on the Ukrainian constitution. The constitution is clearly being violated, but again, I do not want to go into specifics. As for negotiations, negotiations are always in demand and always important, especially when there is a desire for peace. Overall, I think this is positive. How can you not see as positive the fact that hundreds of people have returned home? It is positive. As you know, we have provided humanitarian assistance for thousands of fallen Ukrainian soldiers. In return, we have received back dozens of our men who gave their lives for their motherland. Isn't this positive? Of course, it is a positive development. As for any disappointments anyone might have, all disappointments stem from excessive expectations. This is a well-known general rule. However, in order to resolve the issue peacefully, we need substantive discussions, not in public, but calmly and quietly. This is why we proposed creating the three groups you mentioned. Overall, the Ukrainian side's response was positive. We agreed that we could hold such talks without cameras, without any political grandstanding, in a calm manner, and seek a compromise. Although this work has not started yet, overall, I repeat, the initial reaction, as it seemed to us, was positive. That is why we hope this process will be completed. Have the conditions for a long-term truce, which you announced a year ago, remained in force? Yes, these remain unchanged. They are not conditions, but goals. I have outlined Russia's goals. Previously, we were told that Russia's intentions were unclear. Last June, we formulated and clarified them in consultation with the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Everything is clear there, but the most important thing is to address the root causes of this crisis. That is the key point. And, of course, there are humanitarian issues and security issues in the broadest sense, the security of both Russia and Ukraine. By the way, the Ukrainian delegation suggested that it might make sense to discuss the security of Russia and Ukraine within the context of broader European security. That's what one of the Ukrainian delegation leaders said. And, in general, we agree with this. We support that approach. Then there are the humanitarian issues, such as the status of the Russian language, independence, and respectable conditions for the development of the Orthodox Church, for Christians, for the Church of Ukraine. All of this, in general, needs to be discussed and should be at the core of a comprehensive, long-term peace, without any deadlines. We have already changed everything we needed to change. If someone closed the door on us, there are still many open doors in the world. Both Russia and Belarus have made a very serious turn today. I think that, with time, the world will come to appreciate what we have done. This would have been simply unimaginable in the early 1920s. But, nevertheless, we did it. We changed course, and we live on. Russia is a treasure trove of valuable minerals and technologies. So it will take time to finally prove to the skeptics and those around us that we are capable of great things. Yesterday, at a meeting with a diplomat, which you heard, I said there is nothing to say about sanctions. As soon as we start talking about sanctions, everyone who doesn't want to work cites them as an excuse, saying it's too difficult. No, that's it. Sanctions are an opportunity. Therefore, I think that in Russia, having a clear understanding of this issue, we have always been and will always remain close. Do not worry about these sanctions. As for what Vladimir Vladimirovich asked about negotiations and his position on this matter, I absolutely support it. The president is right when he says that war is war, but negotiations are always held. The Americans, for example, fought in Vietnam over vast distances, and from the very first day, they were negotiating. The Ukrainians are making a mistake, as I see it, by demanding the impossible. What they are asking for, and what Russia is proposing, as the president has just stated, can only be resolved at the negotiating table. There can be compromises, concessions, reversals, and so on. You are right when you say that much is said publicly, but there is no actual desire to act. If someone really wants peace, they need to approach the matter thoroughly and carefully. This is a military conflict, and you can't just dictate terms, especially to a nuclear state. It is simply absurd. Recently, I met with Vladimir Vladimirovic and spoke with the Americans, his close friends. I told the president openly, tell him to handle things carefully. And it is possible to reach an agreement. Once again, there was an air truce. I said, yes, Russia and President Putin are interested in this. But you do not want it. Tell Zelensky to let it go, so that there are no flying objects and people are not hurt. The Russians had agreed with the Ukrainians in Istanbul. Vladimir Vladimirovic knows this. He called me to thank me, you may recall. Then, there was a continuation in Belarus. We did everything, including exchanges at the border. The Ukrainians opened the border to participants, which they had not done before. Train connections were re-established there. So, progress is being made. There was much talk about the children. Russians are being invited to come and see for themselves. Negotiations are taking place between the Russian and Ukrainian human rights commissioners. Negotiations are underway about the children. What did Russia do wrong? There is a war. The children were left without homes. The children were found, fed, and clothed. Yet we are being accused because of this. Why? For what? Please, let's come to an agreement. It turned out that there isn't actually such a number of children. Of course, there isn't. They exchanged 3 or 4 children who had lost their families. That's all. When we were going through the negotiation process in Istanbul, they said, please, let's look at the list. But there was nothing on the list. There is no list. That's why there's public pressure. This doesn't help matters. What needs to happen is to just sit down at the table and agree on any of the issues. By the way, the negotiations began in Belarus. Yes, 3 rounds were held there. Actually, I like it in Belarus. It's a good place. I hope we discussed everything. Yes, even if it were on the moon, anywhere. The main thing is to sit down at the table and discuss, not throw accusations at each other.